Carl Jung, one of the greatest explorers of the human soul, left us a legacy that still resonates deeply today. From his perspective, the suffering and burdens we carry in life aren't random. They're signals, messages trying to show us something crucial we often ignore. In the rush of our modern lives, we've become disconnected not only from ourselves, but also from what Jung considered essential, the unconscious, that part of our psyche that holds not just our fears and shadows, but also the answers we're so desperately seeking. At some point, we've all felt that inner pressure, that inexplicable weight that seems to grow with every problem, every disappointment, every unmet expectation. Maybe you felt it in relationships that seemed perfect at first, but slowly started draining your energy. Or perhaps in those moments when you're trying to meet everyone else's expectations, only to realize you're drifting further from who you really are. Jung taught us that this weight isn't a punishment or a coincidence. It's an invitation to look deeper. But what does it mean to trust in God from Jung's perspective? For him, God wasn't just an external figure we're supposed to worship, but an archetypal force deeply tied to our essence. Jung believed that at the core of our soul lies a connection to the divine, a spark of something greater than ourselves. The trouble starts when we try to ignore that connection. When we do, we begin carrying burdens that don't belong to us, living lives that don't reflect our truth, and searching outside for what's always been within. When we disconnect from the divine, we fall into a state of emptiness and confusion. Jung described this as a split between the conscious and the unconscious, a state where our shadows, those parts of ourselves we reject or deny, take over. These shadows don't vanish just because we ignore them. In fact, the more we suppress them, the more power they gain. They show up as anxiety, conflict, fears, or toxic relationships that seem to repeat endlessly. In those moments of chaos, when life feels like it's falling apart, we tend to search for answers desperately. But here's where Jung gives us a key. The answers aren't out there, they're inside. Everything you see as an external problem is really a reflection of something internal that needs healing. It's as if the universe, or your unconscious, is speaking to you through the struggles, pushing you to look where you're most afraid to go. Picture this for a moment. You're carrying a backpack. Every problem, every failed relationship, every unmet expectation adds another weight. Over time, that backpack becomes unbearable. But the funny thing is, we're not always aware of what we're carrying. Jung taught us that to free ourselves, we first have to look inside that backpack. It can be scary, because we often find things we don't want to face, our insecurities, our failures, our deepest fears. Yet facing them is the first step to letting go. Trusting in God from this view means realizing you don't have to carry it all alone. It means releasing the need to control every part of your life and accepting that there's a greater force guiding you, even in your darkest moments. But to truly trust, you need to reconnect with yourself, with that part of your soul that's been waiting for you to listen. Jung talked a lot about the power of symbols and archetypes in our psyche. One of the most powerful symbols is the pilgrim, the traveler who sets out on an uncertain journey in search of something greater. That pilgrim is you. Every challenge you face, every loss, every moment of doubt, it's all part of your journey. But to move forward, you need to let go of what no longer serves you. You need to trust that by releasing, you'll find something far more valuable. Right now, you're probably facing a situation that feels impossible to solve. Maybe it's a relationship draining you, a job that no longer fulfills you, or an inner struggle that's eating you up. Whatever it is, ask yourself, what am I trying to control that doesn't belong to me? What part of myself am I afraid to let go of? Jung taught us that our greatest transformations happen when we dare to face these questions, when we have the courage to look at our shadows and instead of rejecting them, integrate them. Letting go doesn't mean giving up or failing. It means making space in your life for what truly matters. It means shedding the burdens holding you back and trusting that what's coming is better. But this process takes faith, not just in God, but in yourself. Faith that you can overcome any challenge, heal any wound, and transform any situation. When you start letting go, something magical happens. Your energy shifts, your thoughts clear up, and you begin attracting people and experiences aligned with your purpose. It's as if the universe responds to your choice to trust. But remember, this transformation doesn't happen overnight. It's a process, a journey that requires patience, courage, and a steady commitment to yourself. Jung said we can't change what we don't face. So the first step to shedding your burdens is to look within. Take a moment to reflect. What are you carrying that doesn't belong to you? What fears, beliefs, or expectations are weighing you down? And most importantly, are you willing to let them go? You might not have all the answers right now, and that's okay. What matters is taking that first step, trusting that the path will reveal itself as you go. When you choose to trust in God and yourself, you discover something extraordinary. You're not alone. There's always been a force guiding you, showing you the way, even when you couldn't see it. This force doesn't demand perfection, just authenticity, just that you dare to live from your truth. And when you do, you realize life isn't about piling on more. It's about being more, about reconnecting with what truly matters. As we move forward on this path, it's important to understand that real transformation doesn't just happen in our conscious mind. Jung said the conscious mind is only the tip of the iceberg. What really drives our lives lies in the unconscious. This vast inner territory is full of symbols, dreams, and most importantly, archetypes. One of these archetypes, deeply relevant here, is the healer. The healer isn't someone outside of you, it's a part of you with the power to mend your deepest wounds. But for this figure to emerge, you first have to face what Jung called the sacred wound. We all carry a wound we've tried to ignore or downplay, but it keeps showing up in different ways: failed relationships, self-sabotage, even physical illness. This wound isn't a flaw or a curse, it's an opportunity. Jung believed our wounds are gateways to self-discovery, paths that lead us to a deeper connection with the divine. Imagine for a moment that the wound you've tried to hide is actually the core of your strength. Jung said that what we most fear facing is often the key to our redemption. When you choose to look at that wound, when you explore it with courage, you find that within that pain lies immense potential for healing and growth. Spirituality, from this angle, isn't about escaping suffering. It's about transforming it. When you trust in God and let go of your burdens, you're not brushing aside the pain. You're giving it purpose. You're letting your suffering become a tool for transformation, a way to reconnect with your deepest essence. This process can be uncomfortable, even painful, but it's essential. Jung said there's no awakening of consciousness without pain, and every step toward enlightenment begins by facing our darkest parts. The concept of the shadow is key here. The shadow represents all those aspects of ourselves we've denied or pushed down because they don't fit the image we want to project. But the shadow doesn't disappear just because we ignore it. The more we suppress it, the more it shows up in our lives in ways we don't understand. Anger, jealousy, insecurity, or even an attraction to people or situations that don't seem good for us. Freeing yourself from your burdens starts when you integrate that shadow. This doesn't mean accepting everything in it without question. It means acknowledging it exists and using it to understand yourself better. Jung believed that by integrating our shadow, we become more whole, more authentic. And in that state of authenticity, it's easier to trust in God because you're no longer trying to control everything from your ego. You're surrendering to something bigger, something that knows more than you do. You might wonder, how do you do this in practice? How do you trust in God and release your burdens when everything feels stacked against you? The answer isn't simple, but it starts with small steps. One of those steps is silence. Jung deeply valued the ability to be still, to listen not just to the noise outside, but to the voice within. In a world that constantly bombards us with stimuli and expectations, finding moments of silence can be revolutionary. It's in those moments that the unconscious starts to speak, that you begin to hear the truths you've been ignoring. Silence also lets you reconnect with synchronicity, a core concept in Jung's work. Synchronicity refers to those meaningful coincidences that don't have an obvious cause, like when you're thinking about a big life change and suddenly stumble across a book, a conversation, or an experience that speaks directly to you. Jung saw these moments as signs you're on the right path, a language the universe uses to communicate with you. But to notice these signs, you need to be present, open, and willing to trust. Trusting in God from this view isn't about blind faith. It's an active relationship, a constant dialogue between your soul and the divine. It's letting yourself feel fear, uncertainty, even despair, but still moving forward, knowing you're not alone. Jung taught us that though the path can be tough, there's always guidance, always purpose. But to see it, you first have to free yourself from the burdens keeping you tied to the past. Another key piece of Jung's work is the idea that our relationships mirror our inner state. If you're constantly surrounded by people who make you feel small, drain your energy, or pull you away from your dreams, it might be your shadow projecting into those relationships. These people aren't there by accident. They're reflecting something you need to recognize in yourself. Maybe it's a lack of boundaries, a fear of rejection, or a need for approval. Whatever it is, Jung invites us to see these relationships not as obstacles, but as chances to grow. Instead of blaming others for what you're going through, ask yourself, what's this situation showing me about myself? What do I need to learn or change to attract relationships more aligned with my truth? This approach not only helps you shed the emotional burdens others might place on you, it empowers you to take charge of your life from a place of authenticity and purpose. As you free yourself from these relationships and burdens, something wonderful emerges: your authenticity. Jung believed life's purpose isn't shallow happiness, it's wholeness. And that wholeness only comes when you reconnect with who you really are. That means dropping the masks, letting go of external expectations, and allowing yourself to be vulnerable. Because it's in that vulnerability where your true power lies. As we dive deeper into Jung's teachings, it's worth highlighting synchronicity as one of the profound ways the divine speaks to us. Synchronicity isn't just coincidence. It's a meaningful event when your inner and outer worlds align perfectly. Have you ever thought about something important and suddenly a person or opportunity shows up like it's the answer you've been waiting for? That's not random. It's the universe, or your unconscious, working with the divine to guide you. But to experience synchronicity, you need to be in tune with yourself. That means stopping the autopilot living and paying attention to the signs around you. Often, these signs come in unexpected ways: a casual conversation, a recurring dream, or a deep moment of silence when everything suddenly makes sense. For Jung, these were proof that the universe has a deeper order than we can grasp with logic alone. Yet recognizing these signs means clearing the mental and emotional noise that clouds your vision. That's where shadow work comes in. Every time you suppress a part of yourself, whether it's a fear, an emotion, or a desire, You build a barrier between you and the divine. That shadow doesn't go away. It hides, waiting to show up. And it does, in chaotic or challenging ways. Maybe you keep repeating negative patterns in relationships or facing the same problems over and over. These aren't accidents. They're your shadow trying to get your attention. Jung taught us that the only way to break free from the shadow's grip is to face it head on. This doesn't mean judging it or trying to erase it. It means integrating it. What does that look like? It's accepting that the parts of you you've rejected are still part of who you are. For example, if you avoid facing your fears because you're scared of what you'll find, you're letting those fears control you from the shadows. But when you look at them directly, you strip them of their power. You turn them from enemies into allies, into sources of self-awareness and growth. This integration process can feel uneasy, but it's freeing. Because when you stop fighting yourself, you find a peace that goes beyond the surface. It's a peace that comes from knowing you're whole, that even your flaws have a purpose. And in that wholeness, trusting in God becomes easier because you're not trying to control everything anymore. You're letting the divine take the lead, trusting that the path ahead is right, even if you don't understand it yet. The collective unconscious, another cornerstone of Jung's work, plays a big role in this transformation. Jung believed we're all linked through an invisible web of universal archetypes and symbols that transcend cultures and time. These archetypal images, like the hero, the mother, the sage, or the pilgrim, guide us and remind us we're not alone on our journey. When you feel lost or disconnected, remembering you're part of something much bigger can be incredibly comforting. Take the hero archetype, for instance. It's especially relevant when we talk about trusting in God and shedding burdens. The hero always faces seemingly impossible challenges, but overcomes them through courage and faith. That archetype lives in you. Every time you choose to face a fear, walk away from a relationship that no longer serves you, or make a tough call to align your life with your truth, you're awakening the hero within. And like any hero, you're not alone on your quest. There are always guides, allies, and signs showing up right when you need them to keep you going. But for the hero in you to rise, you need to let go of the victim role. This is another archetype we all carry. And while it can be helpful to acknowledge our wounds and limits, staying stuck there only pulls you away from your true potential. The victim says, "I can't do anything. It's all out of my control." The hero says, "I can overcome this, even if I don't know how yet." By choosing this mindset, you're taking responsibility for your life and letting the divine work through you. Trusting in God, from this angle, isn't about passively waiting for things to change. It's an active faith. It's stepping into the unknown, knowing that even if the path is unclear, you're being guided. Jung called this a leap into the void, a full surrender that takes both courage and humility. And though that leap might feel scary, it's exactly where the magic happens. That's when the pieces start falling into place, when the burdens begin to lift, and when you find a strength inside you didn't know you had. It's worth noting this journey isn't linear. Some days you'll feel strong, full of trust and hope. Other days you'll doubt, and the old burdens might creep back. That's normal. Transformation isn't a one-time event. It's an ongoing path. Every challenge you face is a chance to reaffirm your trust in God and yourself, to remember that even when it's hard, it's worth it. In the end, trusting in God and freeing yourself from burdens doesn't mean you'll never face difficulties. It means that when you do, you'll know you're not alone, that there's a purpose behind every experience, and that you have everything you need inside you to overcome any obstacle. This is Jung's message, a call to reconnect with the divine, to explore the depths of your soul, and to live from a place of authenticity and faith. As you walk this path, remember that every step, even the small ones, is a sign you're moving toward a fuller, truer life. By trusting in God and letting go of burdens that aren't yours, you start to feel a lightness that once seemed out of reach. But this isn't automatic. It's a process that takes choice, reflection, and, above all, faith that something much bigger is working in your favor. Carl Jung left us an invaluable lesson. The burdens we carry aren't there to punish us. They're there to show us something deeper. They're chances to heal, grow, and connect with the divine in a way that transforms our lives from the inside out. It's not about perfection. It's about authenticity. It's not about avoiding pain. It's about using it as a tool to discover who you really are. Think about this. What could you achieve if you let go of fear and fully trusted the process? What new relationships could you attract if you released the ones that no longer resonate with you? What dreams could you chase if you shed the doubts holding you back? The time to act is now. Your life isn't waiting. Every day is a fresh chance to choose yourself, trust in God, and take that brave leap into the unknown. And here's the secret. When you choose this path of transformation, you don't just change your life. You change the lives of those around you. Your example becomes an inspiration, a light that guides others. In a world where so many feel lost or disconnected, you can be the spark that ignites change. But to spread this message further, we need to do it together. If this video resonated with you, if at any point you felt something click inside, then I invite you to take the next step. Share this with someone who needs it, someone searching for answers or facing a tough moment. Together, we can build a network of people committed to their growth and spiritual connection. Leave me a comment below. I want to know what part of this message touched your heart or what action you're ready to take to transform your life. Your story could inspire someone else, someone going through the same thing who needs that extra push to take their first step. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to get more messages like this. Every time you engage with this content, whether it's a like, a comment, or a share, you're helping it reach more people, those who might need it most right now. Together, we can make a real difference. Remember, change starts with you. You have the power to transform your life, to let go of the burdens holding you back, and to trust fully that the universe is conspiring in your favor. You're not alone on this journey, and this is just the beginning of something much bigger. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for being part of this family and for choosing to grow with us. See you soon.